Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 in our video series on building a headless guitar kit. Super fun. In video number 1, I unboxed all the parts, test fitted the bridge and the neck and all that kind of good stuff. Since then, what I've done is given the guitar body a really nice heavy sand to remove all that sealing coat on it so it's nice and smooth and should be ready for finishing. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to pick colors. We're going to try to get a nice finish on this body. So here we go. Right, so what I've decided to do is to try my hand at doing a bit of a gradient. So we're going to be using some water-based wood stain. Here we go, we've got azure, which is sort of a light blue, and I want the majority of the guitar body, I think, to be red. So we've got cherry here. I've not used this one before, so I think it's going to be pretty cool. So we'll get sort of more of a red guitar, and then maybe a little bit of blue, and that transition zone between the two colors. Maybe some sort of cool purpley color. I don't know, hopefully it looks good. So that's the plan. So what I'm gonna do is sort of figure out the angle that I want to have the guitar transition colors. So let's go tape that off and yeah, get to finishing this guitar. Right, now since I don't have any guitars with gradient finishes, all I can do is kind of look online and see some examples. And lots of them are just kind of like a subtle fade from a darker color to a lighter color, that kind of thing, kind of moving across the guitar. What I want to do, I think, is some sort of angle, just to make it's obviously a super modern guitar, so something that can kind of go with that. So I'm going to play around with the angle here. Not sure, do I want the lower horn a different color, or should I just do something like that, like sort of a half and half? I think I'm going to go with something like this, like that, and then obviously we'll just do the opposite here and see if I can match up. There we go, right like that. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at this and see. So obviously we have everything matching up. I'll just take some scissors or something like that and just make a nice line there, but obviously this is going to be a transition zone on either side of it. So we'll do one color and then there's going to be, yeah, an inch or 2 or 3 here, just kind of like on either side of that tape, blending the colors. Something like that anyway. So I've never obviously done anything like this before, but hey, that's what building a kit is all about, having some fun and experimenting. Well, you guys, it is go time. Here we go. What I love about these dies is they're environmentally friendly, no smell at all, so I can use them indoors, and they're water-based, super easy to use. So you just got to shake them up a bit. Here we go. Now, it might be smart of me if I maybe started on the back of the guitar just to see what's going on, but you know what? Screw that. Let's do it. Now you can use like a foam brush here. You can use, they just say you can use a sponge or a rag or a brush, super flexible. So love that as well. So we're just gonna start with a foam brush here and rock some cherry. So I've never used this color at all before. It's very concentrated. So you can use water to dilute it to get a lighter kind of finish. Now the grain in this is so nice that, yeah, definitely I'm going to want to probably just make sure that it's a really nice translucent finish. So, oh boy, I think it's looking nice. I'm just going to hold it up to the camera here so you guys can see that. And I'm just going to keep working it in because, like I said, it's very concentrated. So just kind of like using that brush to work it in. Let me just flip it around here for you guys. So that's kind of like what we're starting with. Yeah, making that grain pop. That's going to be really nice. So here we go. Let's just keep going. Just going to put a little bit more on my brush here for the lower section. And again, like when it starts going on, it looks really, really thick and maybe a little bit too intense. But just keep working in it and kind of spread it over a greater surface area. And if you want it even lighter than this, just dip your rag or dip your brush or whatever in a little bit of water. And yeah, you'll be able to achieve like as light and as clear a finish as you might want. So very, very cool. Man, that did not take long. It's looking really good. That's why I love the stain stuff, because for someone like me, you can achieve like pretty dramatic and cool finishes with a pretty low skill level. Let's be honest, that's like me. So, hey, this is going to be great. So anyway, I'm going to finish doing all around the edges and the back, and we'll be right back. All right, you guys, well, it's been about 20 minutes since I've put on the stain and it's pretty much dry. There's a couple spots where it went on a little thicker that it could probably use another 10 minutes, about half an hour till it's fully dry. Now, the nice thing is because it's water-based, if you make a mistake or the grain, soaks up different in one area of the wood, well, you can always go back, wet your brush, and just use the existing stain to blend it some more or add to it. So that's the beauty of it. But here's just the first coat. I'll just show you guys how that's been going on. Not bad. Like, you can really see the grain, and that was, one of my main goals with a body like this is to get the translucent nature of, that grain coming through. So you can still see it went on pretty heavy right there. So that's gonna need a little bit more to dry. You can still see some of the spots there. So yeah, the nice thing is you can always touch it up after. So that's the first coat. I think what I'm gonna do is just start with the blue. So let's throw it back on the bench. Here we go. All right, so I've given it a good shake here. We're using the Azure, which is kind of like that blue color. And yeah, as I mentioned before, hopefully this will, create a nice, man, when it goes on like that, it's always a little scary. But I know we can blend it out. So that's what we're gonna do here. All right, so that's looking like a bit of a mess so far. But anyway, I'm gonna keep blending it front and back. We'll do the back as well. And yeah, then hopefully when we go from that transition from the red into the blue, we get sort of like a nice kind of purpley, blendy color. So anyway, that's the goal. I'll be back. All right, you guys, the blue is on, and I gotta say, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's a really nice kind of faded denim kind of look. Really nice. I used that same amount of blue that I put on the front for the entire guitar, and it just gave it a really nice, like, the grain looks phenomenal. So really, really happy. You can just see just that fade. So lots of the natural wood color coming out, through the blue. So really, really nice. Now the tricky part is I gotta somehow make the red and the blue go together. And right now it's not looking great. So we're gonna have to figure that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tape here, and we're gonna have to find a way to blend these two colors together. Right now it kind of looks just like a popsicle, which is cool, I guess. I mean, it is like, gonna be an outrageous guitar for sure. So now what we need to do is blend the red into the blue. Now, my one concern is, I can take a wet brush and sort of get that stain to move, back and forth, and sort of hopefully create a nice gradient. There's just not a lot of blue and red to work with because it's such a light coat I put on there. So I do have some purple in case I need to do some emergency work, but let's go back to the bench here and just see if I can wet it and fade it and start to create a bit of a gradient. Okay, so I've got my brush and it's just soaked in water. There's lots of water on here. It's gonna take some of it out. But basically what we wanna do is re-wet the stain. That's the beauty of working with the water-based stain, and see if we can sort of start just painting a gradient. So here we go. Like I said, there's maybe not a lot of stain to work with in terms of like wetting it and getting it to move. So I might have to just add either more stain from both parts or add some purple to blend in. So yeah, I don't think that's moving at all. I don't have enough stain on there. So what I'm gonna have to do is add some. And I don't know what I should do, if I should just add some and bring it back and forth. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna stick with the colors that I have right now. And if I need to use the purple, I can use the purple. But I'm gonna add a little bit of cherry here. Obviously you guys can see the brush is soaking, so it should be a very, very light coat here. And we're just gonna see if we can, number one, that hard line has to go. So that could be a little bit of a challenge, but we're gonna see if we can just blend that in. All right, you guys, so as you can see, there's a little bit of blending there, but not nearly enough. The lines from the painter's tape is way too strong. So what I'm gonna do is do a little bit of wet sanding. So I could get it to fade a little bit, but not near as much as what we need. So I'm gonna go in here and just sort of see if I can take out that harsh line. Already it's coming out, so I think we'll be just okay here. Yeah, that's already doing wonders. So yeah, I think that's going to be the ticket with this. And since we do want a very, very kind of faded finish, like up here and down there, yeah, I'm just gonna blend it like this, and then once that line's gone, then we'll see if we can get a nice color blend as well. So that's the process of what I'm doing, is just gonna take the blue line, that harsh blue line out, and that harsh red line out. And just wet sanding it is working really well. So that's where I'm at. So I'm gonna do the front here and the back, and yeah, we'll be back. All right, so I've done a little wet sanding just to kind of try to take the edge of that, you know, that diagonal line out of there. So now I'm just gonna kind of blend it with a paper towel here. As you can see, the finish is still a little bit wet because of all the water I put on there. So now I can just take a rag. You can just take a rag or a foam or something like that. And yeah, just try to blend it in. I might need to use like more sanding here. We'll see how it kind of all blends together. All right, you guys, so here is an update. I added a little bit more blue in here just to kind of like try to get some of those reds and blues together to create some sort of purpley color. And there's some shades of that. I don't know if it's exactly what I was envisioning, but I think it looks pretty cool. So I think the blending, just wet sanding the edges there, and then just taking a sponge, or I'm just using literally like paper towel like this, to just kind of like really, yeah, kind of get some of the natural grain colors, but also a nice, yeah, like 6 to 8 inch blending. And I'm still trying to kind of do it at an angle, because I think that would look kind of like pretty cool to kind of go from the lower horn to kind of like the upper bout here. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing. And yeah, we're getting some nice kind of purpley colors in there. So I'm going to keep blending it. Front and back, I've done a little bit in the back, and yeah, just trying to create sort of some custom colors. So there you guys go. That's the back, doing exactly the same thing. I added a little bit of blue to kind of bring it in. I might need to add a touch more here. I'll just do that quickly so you guys can see the process. I'm just taking my blue, just adding like just a touch of it, and then using basically friction to, yeah, kind of get it together. So I'm going to add a little bit to the lower horn here, just kind of up like that. Just add some dots, and then kind of go as far as I want to, like that. And then if I need to wet it or to blend it some more, yeah, I'll just use a touch of water on there. But that's kind of like the process. And once we have kind of like that blending zone, again, like I said, I want to kind of keep it somewhat at an angle just to give it a really nice custom look. And then of course, once we have the blending just the way we like it, yeah, then we'll add our clear coat, which, yeah, it'll take 3 or 4 kind of coats of the clear coat and some fine sanding, just to give it a little bit of luster. But I really do like, you know, that natural grain coming through. I think it looks really good. So I'm glad I went translucent. Well, you guys, I finished most of the blending and just ran some light sandpaper over the top of it. It's really nice because you can feel that grain coming through. So that's really cool. And I was super tempted to add some purple here. I do have purple dye, but in the end, because I want to keep, you know, some of that natural grain coming through with sort of just a custom color, I think this one's going to be pretty fun. After all, it is an ultra modern, you know, headless build. So I'll just kind of take some shots for you guys so you can see how the grain kind of blended like that. So overall, really happy the way, you know, that grain is coming through. I can still take some sandpaper and do some more blending after the fact as well. If there's spots where, you know, the stain took on too thick, like right in here, I can give that a quick sand. Some of these areas there, the stain, see if that'll grab that. You can see the 3 pieces of wood there. So I might just kind of lighten it up here. You can see it's a little thick. So I'll just take some sandpaper and go around and kind of get some of those edges. But the main blending, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. Kind of slightly diagonal and sort of a custom color where they kind of blend. So yeah, really cool. That was a fun project. I mean, like, I'm just not used to doing any of this stuff, so it's fun to just to experiment and find out what you're gonna get. So between now and the next video, which will be like the full electronics build and all the tones, that'll happen next week. I'm gonna start adding some clear coat. I do wanna keep, that grain popping as much as possible. So that's what I'm gonna do, 3 or 4 coats of some satin, just to protect the body once I'm like super happy with all the blending. So there you guys go. Hope you enjoyed the process. Very much trial and error. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. These dies, very inexpensive, I should say. And I've used them a couple times now and they're still basically full. It does not take a lot, especially if you want to do, have that grain coming through. You don't need a lot of that dye. So it's very inexpensive to try. So if you do order a kit, just do what I do, throw caution to the wind, and maybe you'll end up with something kind of fun. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to stick around for part 3 when I put the whole guitar together, bolt the neck on, put the electronics in, the pickups, the pots and switches, and then we're gonna plug it in. That's gonna be a ton of fun. So stick around for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. Other than that, have yourself a great day. Take care.